Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My Two Cent video for this week of September 4th to the 10th, though. And out here in California, it's almost everywhere is getting hit by the heat wave and all that stuff. And I'm trying to do the best I can to try to stay cool while at the same time not eat through my electric bill in any way or anything like that. And anyway, though, we got 4 stories to cover, including Cyberpunk 2077 with a patch 1.6 update, though, which adds performance mode to Xbox Series S to an Endrunner update, so a whole lot of updates indeed, though. We also going to be talking about Tencent buying some stake in Ubisoft. We want to talk about the announcement for Trinity Trigger, if I'm saying the name correctly, which is apparently having a lot of people involved in this game, including folks who worked on Xenoblade Chronicles. No, that's my cat meowing. Rocky. Xenoblade Chronicles, Legend of Mana, Legend of Mana series, and others as well. And of course, a controversy surrounding The Last of Us Part 1, particularly the Collector's Edition. Rocky, come over here, Rocky. And if you're interested in where I got my source of these information, though, I'll have links down in the description down below, or you could click on the card that will appear up on this video. But before we get started, I do want to talk about is basically the quick My Two Cents, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail. So the first one is that I'm sure most of you are aware is that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection is already out and all. Been playing a little bit of that game, to be exact, though. But apparently it seems that Konami is open to the idea of the potential of doing another Cowabunga collection, this time based off the Ninja Turtles based off the early 2000 versions of some of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games, to be exact, though. I never played those. Never got played those games or anything like that. So it would be kind of interesting if they brought it over and all, though. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be against it, to be exact, though. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Konami will see how well the Cowabunga collection does in terms of sales-wise, though. We also learned that Microsoft isn't ready to show a whole lot in terms of basically a Fable at this time, or anything like that. So basically that they're not ready to show or anything like that. I am kind of curious to see what the developers of Forza Horizon Playground Games can deliver with Fable, though. I've been playing the first one via Game Pass on my Xbox Series S with FPS boost mode on, though, and honestly, I'm liking what I'm seeing with that game. Obviously, it's not Breath of the Wild or anything like that, but still a good game, even back when it was released during, I think it was the 360 or I think the original Xbox era and all that stuff. So I am curious to see how Playground Games does handle the Fable game, though. We also learned that an actress, though, really would like to see Valve do a Portal 3, though. We know that basically that Portal 1 and 2 is now currently available on the Nintendo Switch. It's been available on other systems as well. I certainly can see why some people would like to see Valve do another game and all. I mean, they did a Half-Life for VR, though, but I'm pretty sure there are those who basically would like to see Valve actually do a actual Half-Life 3 or a Half-Life 2 Episode 3 or something like that, to be exact. I mean, I'm not a PC gamer, but I'm not against Portal 3 happening, and if they bring Portal 3 to the Nintendo Switch, that I certainly would be fine with that, though. We also learned that Jim Ryan has responded to basically the whole situation with Microsoft owning Call of Duty and all that stuff, and it's not really impressed with the deal that Microsoft is putting out, though. It's even got to this point where Jeff Kelly has sort of weighed in on this matter as well, though. I still think this deal is going through, to be exact, though. And as far as saying that there isn't really any real person that could compete against Call of Duty, I'm not really 100% buying that. I'm sure somebody could make up something that can truly compete against Call of Duty. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure someone could come up with a true competition to Call of Duty and all, though. And honestly, I think that the possible scenario that could emerge with the whole situation around Microsoft owning Activision Blizzard is that it's possible that one of the deals that could be made for Microsoft is that Call of Duty still has to be multi-platform. Kind of similar to what we saw with Minecraft and all that stuff. But I'm sure it wouldn't stop Microsoft from saying, hey, you want to get this exclusive content first, get it on Xbox or Game Pass to be exact, which I wouldn't be entirely surprised to be exact though. But we'll see what happens. I still think, despite Jim Ryan complaining about this, I still think most likely Microsoft is going to own it. The deal will go through. Microsoft will own Activision Blizzard and Call of Duty in general. I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan, but I wouldn't be against, like, say, if Microsoft says, oh, we're going to bring some Call of Duty games over to the Nintendo Switch. I wouldn't be against it, even though I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan, to be exact, though. We also learned that supposedly there was a report coming out that the Mario movie may have been delayed or something to, like, winter, like 2023 or something like that, or 2022. There was some odd rumor, to be exact, though, but supposedly an update to the Illumination website has sort of corrected that, though. It's still coming out sometime in 2023, though. There's also reports that the title of the movie may have been leaked, called, obviously, Super Mario Brothers, which I would not be shocked if they called that. I am curious to see what Illumination Production is going to do with a Mario movie, though, but we haven't really seen any trailers or anything like that, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around the idea of Chris Pratt, who, Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy, and also the Jurassic World franchise. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the idea of him voicing Mario. It's possible he could pull it off, so I'm not going to doubt or anything like that, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, though. And hopefully the first trailer impresses us, to be exact. And I wouldn't be surprised if the success of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie put some pressure on Nintendo and Illumination and all that stuff. We also learned that supposedly there were rumors going around this week, though, of the possibility that Nintendo was planning a direct possibly for next week and all, but might be delayed due to the fact that I'm sure most of you are aware of her on the news. Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen of England, though, passed away at the age of 96, though. The reports seem to claim that Nintendo doesn't want to do it during a sensitive or tough time, though, and this wouldn't be the first time Nintendo did something like that. I think one of the earthquakes that hit, I think it was in Japan, they had to delay that, and Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, or I apologize if I'm not saying correctly, was also delayed following Russia's invasion of Ukraine back in February and all. So there was some report about that, but then we're also hearing that they're still planning to move ahead with a direct this week, so we'll have to wait and see. The direct was never confirmed, it was just rumored, so we'll wait and see if that truly happens or not, though. Again, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if they delayed the direct because of the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Wouldn't surprise me, but again, the direct was never really 100% confirmed, so it's a wait and see at this moment regarding that, though. And last but not least, though, we learned that basically Gungrave Gore will launch on the Xbox Game Pass this November. It is one title I am keeping an eye out, though. I remember playing the original Gungrave and its sequel back, I think, in the early 2000s when it was on the PlayStation PS2, though. They were fun games, though. Not like huge games. They're more like, smaller or like AA titles, but still enjoyable, though. I think the series was made by the same person who did the Trigun, if I'm saying the name correctly, anime series, though, and I do think Gungrave also got an anime as well. And I am kind of looking forward to this title, and since it's coming to Game Pass in November, that certainly is a plus, so I'll be keeping an eye on it, though. One last thing about Gungrave, I don't know if this will be in this game, though, but I remember the first two, every time you start a level, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, it starts out with saying, kick their ass, and that was self-explanatory right there. But either way, if you're curious about Gungrave, though, Gungrave Gore will launch this November on Game Pass. Great for those who have Game Pass who want to try the game out and determine if this is the kind of game that interests you or not, though. Okay, with the quick my 2 cent part now done, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with The Last of Us Part 1. Now, ever since this game was announced, though, it has somewhat been marred in somewhat of a controversy to basically debate, an open debate about the game. There are some that question the game existing in the first place, to basically some of it look like that the gameplay is not going to be a huge improvement other than maybe borrow stuff from The Last of Us Part 2, to some of the fact of charging $70 for this game though. Despite that, the game seems to be doing pretty well, especially in the UK though, and so far the reviews have been pretty positive, especially for those who do like the accessibility that they added into the game and all. So the game certainly has somewhat of a mixed response, but not, I wouldn't go as far as call it a huge negativity, at least how I see it though, to be exact. Well, recently it seems that those who order sort of a collector's edition from the PlayStation Direct or anything like that, it seems to be, it's called the Firefly Edition, it seems to be that when they get it in the mail, it's coming in, at least according to what some people are reporting, damaged and anything like that. And to make matters worse, it sounds like Sony isn't giving a refund for those who got the game damaged and everything like that. So in an article first published by basically Video Games Chronicles, it reads that, quote, "The Last of Us Firefly Edition is reportedly turning up damage to some customers, and so far Sony has declined to provide a replacement. Priced at $99.99, $100, and sold exclusively in the US via PlayStation Direct, the first wave of pre-orders for the remake's most expensive editions was snapped up in under an hour following the game's announcement in June. Now, as the game launched, the special version is being delivered. However, multiple players are reporting that it arrives damaged thanks to the alleged lack of protection in transit. The Firefly Edition includes various in-game bonuses, a limited edition steelbook case, and The Last of Us American Dream comic 1-4 with new cover art. The game and extra are contained in a cardboard case, and it seems they're being shipped without protection, making them suspected to damage, and is being reported by large numbers of players on Twitter. And some people have shown pictures of what has happened to it, to be exact, though. According to one Twitter, when they approached one Twitter user though, when they approached PlayStation Direct customer support, they were offered no option for replacement. I've been offered a 20% voucher on a future game order. It would appear that there's no surplus stock to fulfill replacement orders though. Sony has yet to comment publicly on this issue. To conclude with the game's release today, or this week, the Firefly Edition was restocked in the US at 12 a.m. Eastern, but again sold out extremely quickly, and it's now on eBay for up to 6 times the original price. Now, I don't know how widespread this is. I mean, it might be just a few customers, or it might be those who, like I said, just a few customers. It may not impact everybody. That being said, though, that doesn't mean that we should ignore the fact that there are people who are receiving their Firefly Edition or the edition that they ordered in a damaged or sorry state, though. And the fact that Sony is not offering a refund, in my opinion, is very not only anti-consumer, but very inexcusable, though. If they have proof to show that they got the version they want damaged, I believe they are entitled to a refund, and I think Sony should fulfill that refund, though. The fact that they're not giving to them is inexcusable, and the fact that while they'll give them a 20% off voucher for the next game, the fact that some of these people were willing to spend $100 on this and get it damaged, though, yeah, if I was in that position, I would be pretty pissed off as well. So I think this is very bad for Sony. I don't agree with the way that Sony had handled this situation, to be exact, though. Again, I don't know how widespread it is, but it is inexcusable, to say the least. And the fact that we're seeing this game pop up on eBay at outrageous prices just brings back the whole situation, what we're seeing with, the PS5, where Sony places put it up, and then the minute you have bots buying it, and then people putting it up on outrageous prices on eBay. It took me like a whole year to finally get my hands on a PS5, to be exact. It was a bundle edition, but I was able to knock it down using some gift cards and be able to get it actually at a store, not through eBay and all. But it's really ridiculous, how this whole situation is, though. So overall, I don't like the fact that people are buying this up and putting it on eBay. Yes, they could do that if they want to, but it just reminds me what we saw with the PS5 system in terms of how hard it is to find that, how people use bots to basically put it up on eBay. And the fact that Sony is not going to offer an actual refund for those who are willing to pay $100 for this is very anti-consumer and inexcusable. This should never happen. If you got a broken or defective product, though, you are entitled to a refund or at least replacement of it, though. I remember what happened when I ordered Rune Factory 4 Special Edition for the Nintendo Switch, and when I got the game, the box was tore open and all that stuff. I had to contact Amazon, showed them pictures of what happened. They automatically emailed me and sent me a new version with no extra cost or anything like that. And that, I think, is good. I appreciate that they did that in that situation, though. And I think it's inexcusable that Sony's not willing to at least do that situation. And to me, it sounds like this sounds like this was poor planning on Sony's part, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with the announcement of the game Trinity Trigger and some of the people who are working on it. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my Choose Cent video for this week. And for this one, I want to be talking about a game that some folks have been keeping an eye on, but has recently just released an announcement trailer, and this is called title called Trinity Trigger, if I'm saying the name correctly, though. Now, one thing I've noticed, at least on the Nintendo Switch, though, is that we've been seeing a lot of what I would consider AA or smaller RPGs, though, from developers. So we've seen some, particularly from Square Enix, where we've seen titles like, say, like from an entry like the remake of Trials of Mana, to basically, stuff like Octopath Traveler, Bravely Default 2, trying out strategies. So we've been seeing a lot of these smaller niche RPGs, and I certainly don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, especially for something like the Nintendo Switch, since we are not getting that big Final Fantasy type of title, at least at this moment, though we have remakes of or remasters of Final Fantasy 12, X and X2 and all that, but nowhere near the level of say Final Fantasy 7 remake or Final Fantasy 15 or the upcoming Final Fantasy 16, though. So it was certainly interesting to hear this title was announced and all. And while it certainly will be aiming to come out on September 15 in Japan, it seems that publisher Marvelous and Xseed, which is known for publishing some of these smaller niche Japanese titles, is planning to bring this game out in early 2023. In an article published on Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, FU Ryu, apologize for not saying the developer or the publisher correctly, though, action RPG Trinity Trigger is coming out in Japan in just a few weeks, but today, Xseed Games has announced that it will be bringing the game over to the Western Shores early next year. The game also includes staff. It says, with staff include world-building artists, apologize for not saying the name correctly, for folks working on Secret and Mana, character design from the Xenoblade Chronicles series, story written by the folks who worked on Octopath Traveler, and a composer who worked on the Secret of Mana series as well. Trinity Trigger aims to capture the feel of 90s action RPG nostalgia. You'll be able to play locally co-op with 2 other friends as you hack and slash your way to the gods. From what I read, it also can be played alone or single player, to be exact. Xseed shared some features for the game, which is released on Switch in early 2023. It's also been reported it will be coming to the PS4 and PS5 as well. Key features such as master the weapons of the god, solve puzzles and defeat enemies alone or with friends in local co-op as players travel the dungeons in each Armas tower made from the fallen weapons of the god. Reveal hidden passageway by exploring every last bit of Trinity's, if I'm saying the name correctly, diverse biomin, and chat with town folks for clues to uncover the heavy guarded secrets held in these forests, deserts, snowfields, and more. Make expert use of the weapon wheel in battle to change between 8 weapon types on the fly. Every enemy has a weakness, and finding and exploiting it is in the key to victory, though. Trinity Trigger was inspired by iconic RPGs of yesteryears, but its successful and rewarding gameplay incorporate modern flourishes to make it an excellent new adventure. Wacky. We've had our eye on this ever since the game's key art dropped, and it indeed looks like a lovely throwback to sitting in front of our Super Nintendo while playing Secret of Mana. There's flow of big names working on this title with plenty respected resume, and they point out their previous story. So this is one. Whoa. Okay, I'll have to deal with that in just a minute. Rocky. Hi. So anyway, there's certainly some interesting names that have popped up on this game, to be exact, though, and it's certainly one I am definitely looking forward to basically trying this game out, though. Like I said, though, I like some of these smaller RPGs and all, and it's certainly nice to see another RPG make its way over to the Nintendo Switch, and that certainly is nice indeed, because we've been seeing a lot of RPGs, a good amount of RPGs make their way over to the Nintendo Switch. At this time, there's no word on a PC version or if the game's going to come to the Xbox system or via Game Pass, though, but I would say I wouldn't completely rule it out, though. We've seen games like Octopath Traveler make their way to PC and Game Pass, though. We've seen Bravely Default 2 make its way to Game Pass. Bravely Default 2 make its way to the PC, so I won't rule those out, though. But for right now, it seems the Switch and the PS4 and PS5 are the main system at this time, to be exact. So overall, it's definitely a title I'm going to be keeping an eye out when it comes out next year and all. And I like some of the, like I said, I like some of these smaller RPGs, so it's definitely one I will look at, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with Tencent and buying somewhat of a stake into Ubisoft. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my Two Cent video for this week, and apologize if you heard some noise or certain things falling off one of my shelves, though. Apparently, as my cat jumped on one of my shelves and knocked over a whole bunch of amiibos, and unfortunately I had to pick them up or anything like that. My cat Rocky's doing just fine, though. I was not happy with what he did, and right now, last time I checked, he was pretty much hiding under my bed and all that stuff. It's probably just a little scared, although he's back in the room right now, though. No jumping on the shelf, Rocky. No jumping on the shelf. So, I'm a little bit angry, a little teed off, let's just say, at him, but still adorable, nevertheless, and still an affection cat, though. But anyway, for part 3, though, I do want to talk about basically Tencent and Ubisoft, though. Now, as you probably are aware, we've been seeing a lot of acquisitions played out, to be exact, though. We've seen cases where Sony has bought parts of, like, say, Bungie, although Bungie said they will still remain independent. We've seen cases where basically, they also bought Insomniac. We've seen Microsoft make a big push from buying Bethesda to the recent push with Activision Blizzard. But we've also been seeing companies like Tencent really make a push in terms of the gaming space, to be exact. We've seen them purchase or invest in several companies, similar with Embracer Group, which recently closed the deal and got, Tomb Raider, Legend of Kain, Crystal Dynamics IPs and all that stuff. But we've seen Tencent really push into it, such as basically owning a stake or investing into Platinum Games and all. Now, there has been some controversy, and some people are uneasy about Tencent, to be exact, though. A lot of it is because of, they're from, like, China and all, and there's concerns, about, them having influence, plus with the whole monetization era, to be exact, though. Some people kind of bring up the whole Blitzchung situation where one of the Hearthstone players said about Free Hong Kong, which later had Activision Blizzard, pull his winnings and all that stuff, and the enormous backlash they got saying that they were catering to the Chinese government and everything like that, since Tencent or some Chinese firms have invested in Activision Blizzard. So there's some concerns about it, though, but that hasn't really stopped Tencent from basically investing in some companies. And Platinum has come out about saying that this will help them, self-publish some of their own games, which I don't blame them to a certain degree. Well, recently it learns that Tencent did basically purchase a little bit more shares to Ubisoft, but doesn't sound like it's outright full control of the company. In an article from GameIndustry.biz, it reads that, quote, Ubisoft today announced a partnership between Tencent and the Guillemot Brothers Limited, if I'm saying the name correctly, that will see the Chinese tech firm indirectly increase its stake in the publisher. Tencent is investing 300 million euros, $297 million, in GBL for a 49.9% stake in the company, which owns almost 13% of Ubisoft shares before this deal. It will also provide GBL with a long-term unsecured loan that could be used to buy a large chunk of Ubisoft. With the deal, Tencent has joined, the Guillemot, if I apologize if I'm not saying correctly, family Concrete, or CONCERT, which includes GBL and its individual family members. Collectively, this group can own up to 29.9% of Ubisoft shares with voting rights, though. After completion of this deal, the family that owns Ubisoft will own 24.9% of the voting shares. The deal only gives Tencent 5% of the voting right in GBL, but no seat on the board of directors or consent or veto rights in the operation of the business. However, in connection with the deal, Ubisoft's board of directors have given Tencent permission to increase its direct owned stake in Ubisoft from 4.5% to just under 10%. Tencent will not be able to sell its shares for 5 years, nor will it be able to increase its stake beyond the 10% threshold for 8 years. While Tencent's investment was not made in Ubisoft directly, it has implied variations of 80 euros, $79.25 in the US per share, and 85% premium on Ubisoft shares closing price of 43.28 euros, $42.87 today. Last month, Reuters reported that Tencent has been looking to increase its stake in Ubisoft, with one source saying it's willing to pay up to 100 euros, $99.06 in American currency, per share to do so. The expansion of the concert with Tencent further reinforces Ubisoft's core shareholders around its founders and provides the company with the stability essential for long-term development, said the CEO and GBL director of Ubisoft. In contexts where platform business models are convenient, this transaction, which validates our strategy and highlights the strong inherent values of these assets we have built over the long term, it's excellent news for our teams, gamers, and shareholders. Tencent has been involved with Ubisoft since 2018, when it acquires part of Vinvadel's stake after the company's failed takeover bid and announced a strategy agreement to bring Ubisoft games to China, though. Now, again, I'm still mixed on the idea of Tencent being involved in this, though, even whether it's Ubisoft or Platinum Games in general, though. I understand from a business standpoint this might be good for the business. As I mentioned with Platinum, they want to be able to do more self-publishing and have more control over their IPs and all that stuff. But it also brings up the whole issue about when you have companies like firms like from China to Saudi Arabia investing in some of these companies, it brings up the whole human rights issues, considering since these two nations have a history of human rights abuse, and it brings up the idea of them, if someone speaks out, they could take, like do something to silence, any speaking out against human rights and all that stuff. So it brings up this whole set of issues, and I'm a little iffy about, Tencent, since the whole money will go to basically, to the Chinese government and all that. So I'm still pretty much mixed on this though. And some people are concerned that this would basically push, Ubisoft even more into, the live service though, considering their obsession with live services games and microtransactions to be exact, even though not every game needs to be a live service and all that stuff. So, this could be a good thing for Ubisoft, but I can also understand some of the concerns and some of the, Tencent growing, really digging their hands into the gaming industry as a whole. We'll see how this all plays out though. So overall, I would say I'm still mixed on the idea with Tencent, though I know why some people are happy to have them invest in their company for certain financial situations. But like I said, as with Saudi Arabia, it brings up the whole issue of this money going to the governments, which are known for, China and Saudi Arabia, which is known for their human rights abuse and so forth though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 4, and this one has to do with Cyberpunk 2077 and some of the information that has come out, ranging from a patch 1.6 update to certain parts with Edge Runner and the future of the PS4 and the Xbox One version. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My Chi Sent video for this week. And for this one, I want to take a look at the situation surrounding Cyberpunk 2077. Now, this is a game that did not get off to the best of starts when it launched in 2020 at all, though. When this game finally came out, it did not live up to the expectations at the time. There were reports of numerous bugs and glitches, particularly with the last gen versions on the PS4 and the Xbox One and all. And so the game got heavily criticized, combined with how there was an issue of crunch and the situation with the developer CD Projekt Red. That game really hurted CD Projekt Red's reputation, and they took a hit on so many levels, to be exact though. But lately, over the past, since the game has launched, we've seen CD Projekt Red do what they can to try to fix the game, give it hot fixes, and try to bring it up to a state where people can still enjoy the game. And it seems that the game has certainly gotten to a better state than where it originally has been though. Enter in the latest patch called patch 1.6 update, and this adds several new features, including one for Series S owners like me, something that should have been available at launch, which was a performance mode though. Now when that game launched, it did run at 1080p at supposedly at a steady 30 frames per second. In other words, it was dubbed, this is the version we should have gotten for the PS4 and the Xbox One though. Several articles which has come out about this one from The Verge, it mentions that, quote, that it's a new update that adds cross-platform, if I'm saying that correctly, yeah, cross-platform save, mod management, and more. Mod management being more for those who own the PC version, but it also mentioned this is the last major update for the PS4 and the Xbox One. Here's what it said, quote, CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk 2077 is getting a new performance mode for the Xbox Series S. Like I said, great for Series S owners. An official tool for installing and making mods, and a big improvement to Outfits VI 1.6 End Runner update. That's that anime on Netflix, though. I might take a look at that one, though, which was announced alongside the Phantom Library DLC pack. Like the DLC, it seems like most future updates of the game will be for next-gen console only, the company says, 1.6 will be the last major update for the PS4 and Xbox One. The update is available to download today for all platforms, though the modding tools are limited to the PC, which I'm not entirely surprised by that, though, including those last-gen consoles. On the Xbox Series S, it's about a 39.6 gigabyte download, though. The new wardrobe feature, which some players will be known as transmog systems, lets you change your outfit without modifying your armor, rating, or other status. This could help avoid a common problem with RPGs where players is focused to choose between an outfit that looks cool and the one that has better stats. I think I saw something similar like that in some of the Xenoblade Chronicles games or anything like that. So, but anyway, and it's a welcome as a continue on, and it's certainly welcome as someone who almost always chooses the former. You'll also be able to see a preview of clothing item when you're shopping for them at a vendor. The patch also adds cross-platform saves for users who are logged in. This means you can load your Steam Deck save file from your PS5 and pick up right where you left off, though there are a few caveats if you live in places where some of the game content is censored, such as Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Japan. For PC players, though, the CD Projekt Red is releasing a tool called RedMod. Along with the update, while the game has supported mods for over a year, the company said that the official tools will help people manage and install mods as well as create items. According to the RedMod site, it will let you add your own sound, animation, scripts to the game. Obviously, this is nice for those who are into the PC gaming or like to do modding in general, though. The update includes a variety of small additions as well. The Xbox Series S is getting the performance mode setting from the Series X, which makes the game aim to hit 60 frames per second while keeping the resolution somewhere between 800 and 1080p, though, which, again, as a Series S owner, that's not necessarily a bad thing, though. I'm always a gameplay over graphics. I'd rather have a higher frame rate over graphical bells and whistles, but that's my point of view on that one, though. Some of the content added in the 1.6 patch includes new equipment, a new photo mode feature that will tie into the upcoming Cyberpunk Endgunners anime that premieres on Netflix next week, though. Again, probably take a look at that. For people who are fans of CD Projekt Red's other major franchise, The Witcher, there's now an in-game arcade cabinet that lets you play the game's featured Gerald's horse. It seems very similar to Google's Chrome's dinosaur games, where you endlessly run, jump, and duck to avoid obstacles, and the company is releasing it as a separate app for Android and iOS, though. And it's also worth pointing out that, according to IGN, it seems as though the Phantom Liberty DLC or planned expansion is the only expansion they are working on, though. It says, quote, announced yesterday during Cyberpunk's 2077 Night City Wire livestream, Phantom Liberty is heading to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Google Stadia sometime in 2023. However, while many expected Cyberpunk to echo The Witcher's 3 two major expansions, it looks as though only one is in the works, though. So basically, kind of both good and bad, to be exact. The fact that there won't be any more big updates or anything like that for the PS4 and Xbox One version isn't really all that shocking to a certain degree, considering how those games struggled when the game originally launched and everything like that. So I can admit to some criticism of why they didn't focus on Xbox Series X and X, the PS5 or PC for that matter. So yeah, it's going to be sucks for those who have the PS4 or the Xbox One version. At least with the Xbox One version, as far as I'm aware of, it is going to support smart delivery, so that kind of is a silver lining on that one, though. As far as the performance mode for Series S, like I said, I'm happy that they're bringing that to the Xbox Series S. I'm great as a Series S owner, though. Yeah, it might be a little annoying. It might drop down to 800p or go up to 1080p, though. But like I said, I'm gameplay over graphics type of a person, so that's sort of what I do about that, though. As far as it possibly getting only one expansion, Well, there's always a possibility they could do another one. To me, that kind of gives the impression that they're somewhat ready to move on from Cyberpunk 2077, considering the whole mess that that game kind of produced when it originally launched. And it's pretty clear that it threw whatever ideas they had, like this, live service multiplayer, completely out the window, though. And it kind of raises the question of whether or not another Cyberpunk game could happen, though. It is a possibility, but if they ever do another one, though, they're going to have to learn from the mistakes that they made with this first game, though. I mean, this game really damaged their reputation, and if they do like a Cyberpunk 2077 2 or sequel, they're going to have to work really hard to convince people that they seriously have learned their lesson. And Witcher 4 is really going to have to show that, yeah, we've learned our lesson for what happened with Cyberpunk 2077, though. So overall, 1.6 updates definitely sounds very interesting, though. I applaud CD Projekt Red for doing what they can to really fix the game and try to undo the damage it caused when the game originally launched, though. But I mean, they're going to still have that hanging over their heads, and they're really going to have to prove they learned their lesson when they launch The Witcher 4, to be exact, though. So I'll give them credit for doing what they tried to do to fix this game, so I'll at least give them credit for that, though. Okay, this concludes this My Two Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the whole situation with The Last of Us Part 1? Do you think how Sony handled the pre-order situation or the Firefly Edition was done poorly? Do you think they should actually offer a refund? What are your thoughts about Trinity Trigger, though? Are you looking forward to this game? Are you willing to check it out when it comes out next year? What are your thoughts about Tencent buying a stake in Ubisoft? Do you think it's really a big deal? Do you not think it's a really big deal? And what are your thoughts about this 1.6 update to Cyberpunk 2077? Are you looking forward to this? Do you think the game has improved over the years and all? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I will appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you watch this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!